Hello and welcome to the third episode of the DoCast, our series of interviews with notable people, as how we'll put it. So I'm Andrew and I'm joined by Keir Chalmers, one of our junior members. And our special guest this time round is Scotland, Caledonian Highlanders and Forfarshire batsman, all-rounder, bit of everything, Michael Leask. Michael, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. I would like to hope I'm an all-rounder, to be honest, but you never know these days.
Well, I mean, after the destructive performance that you put in against our first 11 the other week, I don't know, did the batting come very much to the fore?
I was told I wasn't allowed to bowl after that. I was told you just hide in the field. I was more than happy, to be honest. But no, look, you get those days where everything just hits the middle and you keep going with it. But nah, unfortunately, it could have been any team that day. It was just one of those fortunate days for me, I think.
You're just in the zone.
Yeah, I think they caught me on a bad day, shall we say.
Cool. Right, so we'll start at the start with your sort of cricketing experience. I know you're from Aberdeen originally.
Yeah.
How did you get into cricket? Was it through a club, through the school?
No. So Dad was heavily involved at Stonywood at the time. Literally went on an early tour to South Africa in 1997 with them, with Stonywood. So I was involved from literally knee high. Dad just gave me a bat, like always had a bat in my hand. He just kept me coming up to the club whenever he was playing, whatever. Went away on a tour to South Africa in 1997 when the likes of Steve Knox, Kyle, both Kyle's brothers were there. I don't think Kyle was there. The Cootsers, all the Cootser family, and then all the other members of Stonywood were there. And that kind of really went, wow, okay, touring could be quite good fun as a cricketer, really. And then from there, just really went through the Stonywood ranks of 13s, 12s, 15s. Scotland the same. So I was lucky enough to play 12s, 13s, 15s, 17s, 18s for Scotland as well. So I mean, I was fortunate enough to have a good upbringing from my dad with cricket, and then obviously it just went from there really, and really just saw it as a career. Probably at 22 was more probably the time that I really actually saw it becoming a career, to be honest.
Yeah. So was it those sort of touring experiences that really made you fall in love with the game, or was it even before that?
Nah, so just seeing Dad's passion, really. He's someone that still played until he was 70. He only just retired a couple of years ago, just come and watch myself now, because he's getting to that age where he just thinks he can't be bothered. But no, just seeing him play and just watching him every week, just seeing what he does, it was just amazing to see how he, even as when I was a youngster, just watching him, and then he would throw me balls when he's done, or it was just amazing to be around a good club at that time, which Stonywood was. When you look at the likes of who was there, you've got Kyle, you had the Gowdies, you had Jonah Urquhart, you had Ian Brandt, you had so many names that you could reel off that have now played for Scotland or represented Scotland across the age groups. So at that age, I was lucky. Because we had so many good youngsters, as you would say, to be there, and you'd train with them and you'd just be in amongst them. So it was also, I suppose, I got a little bit lucky at the time that I was involved with Stonywood at that time.
Yeah. So was that, do you think, having that group sort of even pushed you on quicker than it maybe otherwise would have, having those players around you?
I guess so, because then I guess I was probably still young playing in their group, but then seeing them being so good and going, I want to be that good kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like watching Gordon play at 16, I was only a couple of years younger, and going, I want to be like him. And then he would keep playing representative like Middlesex and Scotland, and you go, I just want to do what they're doing. But obviously at that point, I didn't think I was probably good enough to do that, but with time it comes, I guess. With the more you work on fitness and all that, you do get a chance to prove it, I suppose.
Yeah. Keir, have you got anything you want to jump in with?
So you already said that you mentioned that you thought you were going to build a career out of it. When you were 22 years old, you'd realise that you're starting to become good. But what would you say to youngsters that would be watching this who are trying to make their way into the game and discover what their game is?
Yeah, it's that the last point you made there is probably the biggest one. What is your game? How are you going to make your impact in the game? Like, for me, from a young age, I always knew I was quite a good ball striker. Like, I wasn't one of these guys who's going to block it and just hang around kind of thing at that age. For me, it was more about how can I impact the game in terms of I can maybe, when I was younger, maybe get 30 off of 25, something like that. Whereas younger guys nowadays are seeing the likes of Butler and that going crazy. The game's changed since I was even young. So for me, it's about how can you find as quickly as you can what your game is, exactly that. How do you make an impact in every single game, whether it be in the field, with the ball, with the bat. But nowadays, I would say fielding is such a major impact in cricket that's just a given. I reckon that is one of the non-negotiables in cricket now, that if you're a good fielder and you then can do one or the other, bowling or batting, that you'll get in most teams, I would say. And that for me is probably the biggest thing I've learned in my career. If you're a good fielder and you're also a good all-rounder, then it just comes, and it will come. Your game does develop naturally. But finding out what you're good at and what makes you good is what will take you further, I would say.
Good. So that's the one you go, Keir.
I was about to say, was it always cricket for you, or was there any other sports that you enjoyed growing up?
Nah, I mean, I didn't even. I was rubbish at football. Couldn't even kick a football, to be honest. I mean, I tried a bit of badminton, but nah, literally cricket from day dot, and still is. I mean, occasionally watch rugby or anything like that, but cricket's literally, if it's on the TV, I'm watching it, to be honest. I was sitting watching the women's cricket just 5 minutes ago. That's how, just anything to do with, anything. No, cricket just fascinates me still, how no matter what cricket's on, you always notice something, you always pick up something that someone's doing differently, or how they do things. Exactly, you watch how people do things differently. I just love playing cricket, to be honest, still at the age of 30.
So I guess on that then, at the moment, who's out there playing just now that you're really taking things from to take into your own game?
It's more how the batting off-spinners are doing things, because obviously off-spin's such a unique. It's not unique in a way, but it is, because batters nowadays are just going. They're just seeing an off-spinner and go, right, every ball must go for 4 or 6. So being an off-spinner and seeing that, is how do you combat that? So it's more like watching the likes of Maxwell's for Australia, watching the likes of just how are they going about their business, even being happy going at 4, 5, 6, going at 5, 6 and over, going, okay, accept that, how do we do it? But then with the bat going, right, now we make an impact, the batting at 6 and 7 going, right, now we strike at 150, 160, win games doing that. Probably that sort of guys around about the 6, 7, watching most of them, to be honest, and just seeing how they go about their game, really.
Yeah, cool. So I guess you've spent time with a couple of county teams over the years. How did being in those environments benefit your game, and how much different was it to playing in Scotland week to week?
Yeah, look, it's chalk and cheese. The environment was definitely different. It's a lot more cutthroat, a lot more. You get thrown in the deep end no matter what. Even if you're playing twos cricket, it's literally dog eat dog. Like, if you don't perform, you're not going to play even twos. But the good thing down there was there are a lot of coaching staff. There's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of respect as well, because obviously they know why you're there. They know who, like, all that sort of stuff. So no, Somerset was amazing for me in my career, which it was a point where I didn't think I was actually good enough to be there, to be honest. I was a bit like, well, it's a bit odd being there and amongst the names that were there at the time.
Yeah.
But look, it was 2 of the years I would never want to take away. Since I've come back, I'd say I'm probably a better cricketer for it. But the week down there, you'd play 5 games in a week, and then you'd have your club game on a Saturday, and your rest day would be Sunday. So you'd at least play a multi-day format Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, a T20 on a Thursday, and then have something on a Friday, and then your club on a Saturday, and then travel on the Sunday. So it was just a whole different world down there. The recovery had to be amazing. The way you just dealt with yourself had to be 100%, really. And okay, there was times when you got a week off and you could let your hair down and, you know, like, and go and have a few beers as a team and actually get to know them and whatever. But there was also that times where you played 5-6 games in a week and you were absolutely dead by Saturday night.
Yeah.
That was the big that was the big difference. Just noticing, even if you got a couple of good games in the twos, you were close to the ones, but never guaranteed.
Yeah.
So even if you're scoring hundreds and big hundred, doesn't matter. Like, even no matter, you had to be doing it week in, week out to get into the first team. But I was lucky enough to play 6 or 7 T20s for them.
Yeah.
Which an amazing experience. Again, playing in front of 28,000 at the Oval was probably one of the highlights of that. But again, still scared the living daylights out of me even to this day. I remember the feeling. It was absolutely awful standing there with 28,000 booing you. It was awful. But I still remember that one for a long time.
Intimidating.
Yeah,
is that
you could say
the
that.
most intimidating environment you've played in?
You could, yeah, probably amongst the county side. They're ruthless down there. As soon as they see that, if you're playing away from home, they just batter you, no matter who you are. If you're on the boundary, they take no prisoners. They just hammer you.
Here, do you want to jump in?
So looking at your career, the standout innings have obviously been the recent T20 where you scored 198 versus Dukett's firsts. And it's probably also the 16 ball where you got 42 off against England, Aberdeen in 2014. So how did it feel coming off of the pitch after those innings?
To be honest with you, a little bit on both occasions, feeling like I could have got the milestone on both occasions. Okay, the 198, look, it was so different because obviously you want that 2 runs. That 2 runs you've literally got 198 of them. You just want the other 2 just to tick over that milestone. But I mean, it's daft to say, but you almost come off going, I regretted not just trying to block it in a gap and going for 2. But that was not the way I got there, so it was never going to happen. And with the England one, it was kind of, a hint of we could have won that game. I'm walking off going, another 5-10 balls of that, and we were in the driver's seats. We only needed 75 off of maybe 6 overs at that time, which doesn't sound a lot, but against an England attack, which had Anderson and the likes, was probably still quite intimidating. So when the spin was on, you think you took your chance to try and take full advantage. So I think there was a hint of pleasure about the way that the innings had gone, but a hint of, I wish I'd just take a maturity level of going, right, okay, well, how can we win the game, rather than going, I'm just going to keep going with the way I've gone with it, I guess.
Right. Okay. And I suppose on the other side, how do you approach a game and your practice in general? How do you get yourself set when you're going out to bat or coming into bowl?
It varies dependent on situational, to be honest, Andrew. I mean, again, Saturday, for example, we were batting, we were 140 for 1, 2 at 25 overs. That situation is so different than being 2 for 2. If you're 2 for 2, you've got to play the slow, long game, whereas you've guys have done really well up top. You can go in and just kind of almost chance your hand from the start out, and I guess, and almost take on the field as you know you need to. For me, I know where I score, so I guess it's I've got to an age now where I know where I can take guys on, I suppose. But in training, it's more, I guess it's a bit experimental at times. You can experiment with where you hit your boundaries, where you don't, where you're powerful, where you're not. And bowling wise, it's all just about repetition. It doesn't matter in games, out with games, it's all about repetition, repetition, repetition. So if you bowl 6 balls in an area, you can see what guys are going to do. Whereas with batting, you get totally different situations, and it's it's all situational for me. I see different games, like, as I said, the other day was 140 for 2, or you get 20 for 2, and you're kind of then having to grind it out, I guess, a wee bit until you're going. But yeah, I guess across the years, that's probably where I've struggled a little bit. I mean, I've always been a good trainer, but maybe not necessarily put that into games, I guess. That's where it comes sometimes get tough, because in nets, you've only got a 10, 15-minute hit, and you try and go through your innings in 15 minutes. Whereas if you bat 15 minutes in a game, you might only be on 5, 10. And then you think, oh, I can do what I did in the nets and try and hit it into the airport, and it just doesn't work. You know, so I guess that's where nets becomes, you have to be real specific with what you do, I guess.
Cool. Well, I guess we've spoken about your first innings against England. I suppose we can't not talk about the game in 2018. I was there as a fan that day. How did it feel as a player to defeat the #1 team in the world?
Oh, I still think to this day, I still don't think it's sunk in. I've seen highlights day in, day out, and I go, has that actually happened? But no, look, it's still probably up there with the best day I've played in cricket. I still don't think a lot of people go, oh, Scotland beat England. They go, in what? And you go, in cricket. They go, no, you didn't. It's like they still think Scotland aren't really a cricketing nation, unfortunately, which is a bit of a kick in the teeth at times. But no, that day was just, as you know, with the atmosphere and everything, was just frightening. To be on that park, and when we got the final wicket, I think it was just, to see a couple of the Force guys running on the pitch at the end, I was like, oh God, it's happened again. Here we go. Oh no. I just saw them running on. I was like, oh no, stay out the way. I was like, but no, there was the changing rooms after, and just that night and day was just, you couldn't have repeated it, to be honest, I don't think. As you saw with the crowd and everything, it just brought so much to Scottish cricket, I think, and I think it still does, because everyone still wants to do it again, you know. And I think there's another big scalp. There's another big scalp to happen, whether it be England, whether it be Australia, whoever it's going to be. There's going to be another one very soon, I reckon.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
I know, you and me both.
And so obviously there you're talking about your Forbes people, and in 2019 you got your big success with Forfarshire. And how does that compare to all the Scotland achievements that you've got?
It's very different, because obviously Scotland, you play for your country, whereas a club, that's what you do week in, week out. So to have won the treble with Forbes, and I've put in so much work with Craig, who was obviously head coach, and I was basically his assistant at the time. We put in so much work that year and the year before to get the team, and to be honest, to win a treble, that doesn't happen every day either, to be honest. It's obviously very different having played for Scotland for so long. But again, that's where you make your living, by doing it week in, week out at club. And to have won the treble, I still think that's one of the best things I've done on a club term. I don't think that'll be repeated again in a long, long time by Force, even by a lot of clubs winning a treble. Heriots have probably, I don't want to put my neck on the line, but I think if they've got a side at the moment which could even win the quadruple, but I mean they're a frightening side as well. So it just depends. We at that time had 11 guys that we knew week in, week out would be on paper, and we knew week in, week out any one of them could win the game. Like you'd Grievo batting at 3, you'd Wally opening, you'd me at 4, you'd Rory Johnson opening as well, and from there then you've got your bowlers, and it was just everyone knew what they were doing, and with guys averaging 70, 80, 90 for the year, and you go, right, okay, your top 4 were all averaging over 50, and you go, okay, that's probably why. As well
puts
as
you in a very good place.
40, as well as guys taking 40, 50 wickets, you go, right, okay, that's it puts you in a very good position where a lot of clubs probably didn't have the depth that we had that year. Yeah, which does help, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, looking ahead from now, obviously there's a 2020 World Cup on the horizon. Scotland qualified for that what feels like ages ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure even longer to you guys.
Yeah.
How are preparations going for that? How is that in your mind at the moment?
Look, obviously, I think there's a bit of cricket before that. Hopefully, with COVID, it's put a lot of the game prep to one side. With tours getting cancelled with COVID and teams getting COVID that are meant to play us. That's going to happen. I think we've got to be realistic and know that's going to happen. But I think with our players, as long as everyone's playing week in, week out, getting runs, getting wickets, I don't see it being an issue. We've got a tough group still, obviously, with Bangladesh, Namibia, and Netherlands as well. I mean, we've played Netherlands twice. We should have beat them twice. So I mean, we do know who they've got. We do know them. We've played them lots. It's more going to be how are we going to conquer the big Bangladesh, I guess, when we get there. But we've beaten them before when Richie got 100 in Holland. So we've played them once and beat them once. So I'll take that record and we'll hopefully take that forward. But I guess we're going to have probably quite a big block of cricket going into it, hopefully, which will help.
I think the fact that it's moved from India into the UAE is a help for you guys, and we've played a lot of cricket there. But I guess everyone's played a lot of cricket there, haven't they?
Yeah, I think either wouldn't have bothered us. I think we've got we've got two of the best spinners. We could probably ask for an associate cricket, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And Hamza and Watty, they're both phenomenal. And then you've got a good core of seamers now, and you've got batters that whack it everywhere, So I guess India's just a different challenge, but I mean, it doesn't really fuss us. Really, we've played a lot of cricket in UAE, but I mean, India's a hell of a place to play cricket. I'd have loved to have gone back there, but hopefully, being in UAE again, it might suit us a wee bit more. But again, we're not too fussy because I think you've got to, as an associate, you've got to be used to playing in different conditions all the time, really.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Well, hopefully we can see good performances, get out the group, and then
fingers crossed.
A big scalp.
Yes, absolutely. That's the big scalp we're talking about, exactly.
Yeah. Right, well, I feel like we've spoken about quite a lot in the last 20 minutes or so. What we're going to do is we've got 10 quick-fire questions that we'll fire off just to finish off.
Here we go.
Some sport related, some not. So Kieran and I will ask them question about. So first one, what's your favourite film?
Oh, Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, it's not one I've seen. You know that?
Oh, one of the best, I reckon. One of the best.
Who is your favourite sporting hero?
I would say Jack Callis, probably from back in the day, again, from that 1998-99 tour. He played it in a couple of the games that we played, and having seen watching his career, he's just phenomenal. And I was a seaman all-rounder at the time when I was younger, so seeing him and wanting to be I just wanted to be him or Flintoff, and just watching them both and just wanted to be either of the two of them. I was like, they are amazing. And just watching them constantly, just going, they are amazing.
Yeah, I was at a test match in 2008 at Edgbaston. It's kind of the iconic Flintoff spell to Callis. Yeah, both absolute heroes. Next one, what's the highlight of your sporting career?
Oh, I would probably say beating Kenya in the qualifiers in New Zealand, which kept the ODI status for Scotland. If we lost that game, we'd have lost the ODI status. And winning that game got us to the World Cup, obviously. But if we lost that game, we were...
So that one ahead of the England game?
So probably just still. I think the England game was a one-off, but that Kenya game, there was so much riding on it. So, that England game wouldn't have happened without it. So yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, cool.
So who do you believe is the best player that you've ever played against?
Oh, Sangakkara, hands down. We were unfortunately on the back of the 404 games in that World Cup. We were the fourth of 400s, and that 100, I bowled one, I went, that's out. He's ran past it, and he hit me for 6 over extra cover. that's not just happened. I actually was almost celebrating. I went, it's gone for 6. I was like, how's it? I swear that just went past your outside edge and it's gone for 6. I was like, oh no. So yeah, he would have to be probably one of the best I've ever played against.
Yeah, plenty of competition as well.
Yeah.
What's your go-to shot when batting?
The slog. Definitely the slog over long on. Has to be. I think, yeah, definitely the slog over long on.
Kier, next one.
Stock ball for when you're bowling.
Oh, trying to bowl somebody through the gate. Trying to get somebody bowled through the gate for me. That is absolutely ideal. Just watching someone get bowled top and middle. I'm off in a celebration for that one.
I think, yeah, that's got to be the greatest feeling when bowling, I think. When you put it
Graham
outside off
Shawn
and it comes back. Yeah, lovely.
Watching him exactly the same. Ashes 2019, yeah. 2000, well, must have been 2009.
Yeah.
Jeepers, he was so good.
Someone to bat for your life, who would you choose?
Oh, wow. I suppose I'd have to choose myself. I'm only trusting myself to bat for my life.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to have to go me. I'm going to have to go me to bat for my life, unfortunately. Absolutely. I can't trust anyone else with that privilege. No chance.
Yeah. Kier, the similar one.
Think of yourself again.
What was that, sorry?
To bowl for your life.
Oh, definitely not me. Bowl for my life. I'd probably go Flintoff back in his pomp. Flintoff in his prime he would do a job for me. Yeah, go for him.
Who do you think is the best cricket commentator out there?
Oh, Bumble. David Lloyd by miles. Definitely has to be. He's the most comedy value, I reckon. You've got good insight, but he also knows the game. But he's also quite funny the way he does it as well. He's good in the T20s, and yeah, I reckon he's probably absolutely. He's probably one of the best around. Been around for a long time as well. So yeah, again, looking at my age, probably from when I started watching, he's been on most of the time.
Yeah, I can't argue with that at all.
The last question is, what are the best teas you've ever had?
Oh, wow. Well, there's been a few. Our broth are definitely up there.
They always get a mention. Always get a mention.
Our broth for quality and quantity. Stonywood back in the day were phenomenal when the likes of the Gaudies were in control of them. Best teas, but unfortunately I'm going to have to give it to the home of cricket. Lords does tip, unfortunately, our broth and Stonywood to best teas, but I think if we're looking at club cricket in Scotland, I think our broth would probably take the win, I reckon. Yeah. Or Force when Mrs. Wallace does it. When teas are done properly at Force, they are very good.
It's 2 out of 3 of these episodes that Lords has come out on that question. So it's I think anyone that's been is gonna yeah,
they are very good.
Well, I think that sort of brings us to the end of our chat. So, Michael, thank you very much for lending us your time. At all.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Absolutely not. Anytime, guys. I'm always available. Just drop me a message if you feel like it again. But obviously, I hope I've not bored you. Anyway, but again, I hope all success for you guys as well. So,
perfect.
We'll hopefully see you again soon.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. See you later.
Thank you.